All right, here we go. Welcome to Cabomil News and Community Update in English with Korey Riggs and Claudia Velo. Claudia, I'm so happy to see you because I was very worried last week because Gulia was there. She took over. And if you missed the show last week, you must go back and you have to see Gulia, who was our Day of the Dead guest, who took over Claudia or something. I don't know what happened, Claudia, but it's nice to see you back.
I'm happy to be back. It was an interesting trip.
It looked like an interesting trip. And if you're listening today, it is November 7th, and you're listening to us on 96.3 FM Cabomil, or I highly recommend that you go to Facebook Live and see this great show. We have our fitness guru that is here with us again, Isabelle Gagnon, and we're going to get to her in a moment, and we're going to talk about habits, which is very exciting. Claudia, what do we have in the news?
What do we have in the news? There's been a lot of accidents on the Transpeninsular Highway. So more than news is a public service announcement. Be careful when you're driving out there, because sometimes just as you're turning that corner, traffic may be backed up. And also take your time, especially trying to get somewhere. You never know what you will encounter along the Transpeninsular Highway. So that is our public service announcement for this week. Couple things that are interesting. Cabomil is collaborating with the Food Security Alliance as well as with Vatel Club. And this is a campaign to collect kitchen utensils that are useful, and they will go, if you want to donate them, as long as they work, it doesn't matter if they're slightly stained, slightly scratched. Don't give scratched Teflon pans, please. But other than that, anything that you want to donate, you can do so by going to the donation points. There's one in Cabo San Lucas, one in La Paz, and we're going to post the link to the Food Security Alliance website that actually has the locations with the maps, so you can just put it on your Google Maps and drive there and drop off anything. They need everything from cutting boards to blenders to kitchen knives, plates, glasses, everything. This will go to the community kitchens that are, there's 72 of them that are feeding hundreds, if not thousands, of people across the southern portion of Baja California Sur. So that's basically what we have.
It's very exciting because that organization is doing such good work, and very, very happy that the El Dorado Foundation, Chileno Bay Foundation have both got heavily involved with them. And actually the first ever Los Cabos Food Bank has recently opened, and they're supporting about 74 community kitchens. So this is a great effort to get involved with. And I know they're looking for all those things that Claudia just mentioned. So please get involved. And the Food Security Alliance is doing great work. Thank you, Claudia. Well, Isabelle, I think it's time for you. We're happy to have you on the show again. We have you about once a month. And some people feel like it's not enough. I mean, maybe you should just be on the show all the time. But all the excellent advice that you give to people, and it just helps a lot. And today, tell us what we're going to talk about today.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your kind words. I just love to come here and share with you and Claudia. Today, we're going to talk about something that I've worked on for the past 30 days. We're going to talk about our addictive behaviors. And I didn't want to use the word addiction because I find, especially in a time where there's so much judging out there and pointing fingers and shaming, which we all feel because we're in different lanes, unfortunately, that I really changed the way that I certain the narrative, which is kind of softer. We need to be a little bit kinder and softer towards ourselves first. So I just finished Wednesday a 30 days of social media detox. And I'm still in recovery for what I call a chaos that was created by choice inside that was owning a part of me, like literally. So, and that's something I've had, it's been such a life-changing and changing experience that I really wanted to share that, because I'm hoping it's going to inspire a lot of people out there, because this is something that I know a lot of people are struggling with, and we're going to get to kids as well with that issue. So before I get into how it started, where the idea came for me to be off social medias for only 1 hour a day, and the rest of the time I was off. So anything you wanted to share before I get into how and why it came about that?
Well, I think it's very interesting, because to take 30 days off of social media, what I find fascinating is it must be difficult coming back to it right now. I mean, are you finding yourself after 30 days of not being on it all the time? Are you finding yourself wanting to come back, or is it something that you?
It's interesting, because this addictive behavior runs really deep for most of us. So, and I'm going to explain. I've got some little tips for people that are controlling us that most people don't know we have on the cell phones and on the app. But before I came on the call with you guys, I was attempt, like usual, to check my social medias before I get on the call. And I go, nope, I have to catch myself all the time. Nope, I'm going to go and pet my cat and look at my garden. And here's a message from the universe. I went into my window and I saw my little colibri that was it came on the branch just in front of me on my window. And then there was a cacophony of birds that were all lined up. And I go, if I wouldn't have taken that time right now to do this, I would have missed all that. Like what we miss every day when we're staring too long and too much on the screen. So this whole gift that I just experienced, first of all, it grounded me. I'm so much more calmer when I get on this call. But it was just a reminder how much we miss of our own life when we're on being entertained by other things that might not serve us.
Well, and if I can just stop you there for a second and let people know what a colibri is. It's a hummingbird. So we just want to make sure for our English speaking audience what you saw. And I agree with you. Hummingbirds are great to see, and we miss them when we're in our phones. I have to say that I used to live in New York City. I lived there for about 2 years, and I sometimes would stop myself on the subway and look around, and it's just hundreds, thousands of people, their face in their phone. And it's like this energy just being sucked. And you can stop and see people out at dinner, out at restaurants, and you just wonder, like, what are we doing? And the thing about it is, when we're looking at our phones, we are, as you just mentioned, we're missing the things around us. We're missing a possible connection with another human being.
Yes.
Having a conversation, even if you're in the waiting room, let's say you're in the waiting room of a doctor's waiting room, and you think, well, I'll just look at my phone right now because I'll do other things. Guess what? You missed an opportunity. There may be someone else in there that you could connect with. You just don't know.
It's a very good point. And actually, I wasn't going to talk about kids yet, but I'm going to say that much, is in some of the studies that I looked at, this whole generation of young kids and kids that have been raised with this, when it gets to them meeting people that are coming over to a house, let's say adults, parents have friends, they don't know how to converse. They don't know how to get into conversation and start to ask questions. They're not used to that. They're always here with being entertained. So that's something that as parents or grandparents, we have to be very conscious of sitting down with the kids that are always on cell phones and get them to start to ask questions. Because if you ask them, like, how is it going? Fine. What have you done that's interesting? While when they're like, there's like this monotone one or two words answer, and that's not very good for their mental development. But we're going to get to kids more later. So how I got to do this is, do you remember there was a Facebook blackout about it was a little over 30 days ago, where Facebook was down for a whole day.
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks ago, right? 3-4 weeks ago.
A month ago, because I started the day after or 2 days after.
Okay.
So, like, I'm not the only one that acted crazy like this. but first I'm going, okay, my Wi-Fi must be down. No, like my WhatsApp. So no, my WhatsApp was not working because it's connected to Facebook. So panic. So I found myself like every minute or so checking to make sure if we're still on. Like, this went on for the whole day. So I've been doing this the whole day. And I think that Twitter was the only one that wasn't down because it's not interconnected. So I go on there and everybody, there's a whole panic and there's people saying, so how do you feel now? Like that you're not on, like, and there was a lot of jokes going back and forth. And I'm going, it's not funny. I am crazy. I'm making behaviors right now. And you're not right, Isabelle. This is like really sick. I was talking to myself the other day when I came back and I go, you have a problem. Like the A, my name is, and I am. So
Addicted
I had
to social media.
I had to come to Jesus. And I mean, this is going to be full disclosure right now, what I'm going to share, because the other thing is people always tell me lately, Isabelle, you're always positive. Looks like there's nothing going on. You're just like, you must have an easy life board and cutting balls and must have a couple of guys that are supporting you financially, like whatever story, because it looks like that. People are actually telling me that they've got this image because that's what you project. Well, I always project the best side of me, but I'm going to tell you something. The reason why I'm such a good coach is because I went through all the mess and mistakes and problems of eating bad stuff and being overweight and picking the wrong man. I mean, I could write 3 books. So it's time for me to be really candid about this whole experience that you see I'm human, and I had to go through that in order to be able to serve you that way with this experience. So I decided, you know what, you're going to do 30 days without going on social media. Then I go to myself, no, that's too strict. Like 30 days, like nothing. It's like when you do a detox, you never go like extreme, because when the toxins want to come out all at the same time, you're just not going to like the extreme reactions. So I go, okay, I'm going to do 1 hour a day. And then I'm going to shut up the rest of the time. So you asked, Korey, was it hard? Well, first of all, it was hard going in. It's like detoxing. The first 2 to 3 days being on the wagon from social medias, the 1 hour came close very fast. Like the 1 hour came up real fast. Yeah. So first I had to think of what I'm going to look at and what I'm going to post, because I decided I was going to use the opportunity to document my journey. But what I realized is I wanted to share how I felt, but also what came to my mind all of the other hours that I wasn't on. So here's what I found on day 5 that shocked me. I do have an app and I test my heart rate. I like to see, where I'm at. And sometimes if you're stressed, how it affects your heart rate. And by the way, before I did that social media detox, I was so stressed being on social media all the time. Doesn't matter that the intention was good to share good stuff and so on, that at the end of the day, I started to go to a little bit more wine, because when you shake at that level and you want to push down all the stuff that didn't make you feel good, that made me feel sad, it was a good reason to push this down, but it didn't solve the problem. But I decided the first week not to stop the wine. I wanted to see just stopping social medias, not changing anything else. Day 5, my heart rate is down by 10. No word of a lie. Like unbelievable. I'm suddenly in the optimal and feeling very different. And also I lost 1 kilo. Not changing anything. Same workout, same nutrition. So being too much on social media, if you're trying to lose weight, makes you fat.
Well, but and here's why it would make you fat is because you're probably looking at it at night and it's stopping the melatonin from coming into your brain, and you're still got the cortisol. And so you're not relaxing and you're not metabolizing, you're not sleeping. Your heart rate probably came down also because you're sleeping better. And and this is the dirty little secret about social media, because it's not just social media. Because I can tell you, Claudia and I had a show about the social dilemma, which is, I think, a great documentary. And that day that I saw it, I was off Facebook that day, closed my account. And you know how Facebook gives you that thing, oh, in 30 days, you could reactivate your account. I went past the 30 days. My account is dead. It's gone. 20 year, whatever, how many years, not 20, whatever it was, all gone. I got off of everything. And I got off Instagram. It was weird at first, but I tell you, it's so much better. But here's the caveat. It's not just social media that's the problem. It's this thing right here, the phone, because I can tell you, you know what I do now? I'm reading the news all the time because I'm so into what's going on in the world. I'm addicted to it, and I'm addicted to the phone. So it's not just social media that keeps you addicted. This device, it sucks your energy, it gets you addicted. And all of us have to have a come to Jesus, as you so well put it, and be like, what are we doing? Because it's not adding to your life. And one of the things that both Yael and myself have decided is we put the phones out of the room after a certain time, and then they're not available. So that's just a suggestion.
Very, very good point. And you're right about the reasons why it would make us swollen or like, not lose weight, because of all of that cortisol, stress, like the whole chain of events, which doesn't help. But, I'll make that point first, because you'll have some people listening right now saying, well, there's no way I'm getting off social media, which is a lot of people. And by the way, there's a way to use social media that is very useful. It's a great tool if you want to keep in touch with your family. Like I live alone. I have my family all up north, so a way for me to keep in touch with them, to see what friends are doing. But also, we have to, that's one of a tip that I had for the end, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to change my format. I'm just going to go with the flow. We need to sit down with this whole, social media issue and decide what it is that we have as an intention with it. I don't think most of us don't think about this. So it made me think, what are my intentions with the social media? What is it that I'm trying to get out of it? Both ways. And I realized, okay, the contact with families and friends, but you're also wanting to use your platform for service of others. I like to inspire, motivate. So I share nice things. I like to support the community. So I will share other businesses and so on. Period. So I'm thinking, how much time do I want to be on? So what I did, I found out, because I had more time. You suddenly have more time, which, by the way, at first it's a little bit anxious, because you go, how come there's much more time than I didn't have? And it's actually, this in itself makes you a little bit anxious. What am I going to do? It's like, really? So on the phone, if you all have, especially the iPhone, if you go, you swipe totally to the left where you have the weather and so on, at the very bottom, there's a screen. I don't know if you can see this well. This is on my other cell phone. It shows you the amount of time you are on social media you spend with creativity and others with entertainment. So got all your social medias. So I got to play with this. So by the way, the first week to the second week, my decrease was 65%. Boom.
Wow.
So I clicked on Facebook, and at the bottom, it has a add time. So let me just get into it. At the very bottom of each function, it says add time. So you can actually click, I put 1 hour. So that means that when close to the hour, the phone will tell you you have 5 minutes left. And after that, it locks the application. And you can do this for Instagram, with Facebook, with Netflix, with YouTube, with everything. So now I have, because I'm still in recovery, and because it's a habit. Habit takes a long time, especially that I am not off these timers. I keep them on, and I have to when it says 10 minutes and I'm not finished, I go, man, okay, well, and you can decide. It says, option to extend time. Well, that's easy you can do this and actually cheat yourself into it. But that's my first tip. For anybody that has a hard time to control themselves, but really want to do the experience, go help yourself so that it's not as hard. Go to this little thing and add times to all of this, including WhatsApp. Because what I realized with WhatsApp, even though I use it for business, for my practice, is I don't need to check it every minute to see if someone's answered me. Like once an hour is enough, unless there's a fire, they can always call me. So it's really about managing your time with the intentions that you've had. And if you have children out there, like I'm really encouraging you to do, because I'm going to talk about the issue of the damage with this, what they call it, the lost generation. Our teen and children right now, they're calling the lost generation. And I'm going to talk about this whistleblower from Facebook.
Hey, Isabelle, we're gonna need to take a break. So we're gonna keep talking. We'll keep talking over the break. So we'll have some bonus material for everyone out there. And then we'll have you back to talk about the children and what we can do. But great tips. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'll take a breath. There's just so much to share. We might have to talk about this another time, but a little bit more. But hopefully it's going to generate some comments and questions, because it's a biggie.
Absolutely. Are we going to keep recording, Claudia?
Yes.
Okay.
We're keeping recording.
Okay. So let me just start. Do you want to just start the second half, Claudia?
Okay.
Yep. All right. All right, welcome back to Cabomil News and Community Update in English. This is Korey and Claudia Velo. You are listening on November 7th, or you can check us out on Facebook Live. And Claudia, I've been asking lots of questions, and I can see that you have questions for Isabelle. Anything you'd like to ask her? We were talking about kids. We were talking about usage of the phone. What are your thoughts, Claudia?
No, it's as Isabelle was saying, it's an addiction we all have. And I find it very interesting, especially that's the next question, is how do we get parents of using the device as the nanny? And I think that's what's happening with a lot of the lost generation, because it's become the easiest, most affordable nanny. And it happens, sometimes you go to a restaurant and they're the parents having dinner, and then the child is just looking at some device with the sound on, and either the parents become oblivious to that sound because they're so used to it, but even those around it don't comment on it because it's become socially acceptable to entertain the children with these devices, whether it's a phone or an iPad or whatever. So how do parents with young children manage that, Isabelle? What are your pointers for that?
It's a very good question, and I have a very good answer. And I would like to suggest that you put the link in your show notes about this whistleblower called Frances Haugen that was invited at the Senate to testify before Senate, because they have a project to regulate the social medias because of the algorithm and the damage that they're doing to our kids. And hear how it goes, so that maybe parents are going to understand that, change their way of doing things and monitoring the phone. Because what the algorithm does is whatever the kid is interested in, they will be sent the things that they're interested in. And she uses the example of teenagers that are interested in losing weight and extreme diets. They're sent to pages and sites about anorexia, literally. And so the kids, the young people, the young women are into this whole vortex of very unhealthy eating. And Facebook does some studies on the impact they do a lot of things. And there's some kids that are saying, I wish I could stop. I know it's hurting me, but it's like, for them, it's so deep into their they are associating with this at such a deep level that it's actually very scary. There's a lot of the reason why they call this lost generation. There's going to be a lot of bad effect from food issues with kids, suicide, mental issues. She's even talking about issues with having children later on because it's going to damage your body so much. So I encourage you. It's a very long video of the Senate and her testifying, but it's the truth. It's the reality. It is extremely dangerous. It's very unhealthy. And what she's mentioning is, if you think as a parent that you have they have a controlled account, kids can open a ghost account without the parents knowing. So this video of her presenting brilliant, very experienced with Facebook, she was in very different departments, and she's saying it's not that we should close social medias, but it needs to be really regulated because the parents have no idea how it works. Obviously, they think it's a safe and entertaining, toy. And I want to tell you one more thing about kids, which is in my own family. I used to tell Vanessa, I have a concern I have 4 grandchildren. They're on their tablets all the time. And even though Vanessa is very diligent in limiting the time, my daughter is very good with the kids. 2 of them, she didn't know for a long time, they used to underneath the cover in their bed at night, watch. 2 of them need glasses now. And the optician said it's because the issue is not only the blue light, but this is something for adults and children. I'm going to show. And you talked about being on your phone all the time, Korey. We are now only gazing and staring. We're not looking sideways all the time. We're not looking up and down. And so what happened is we're damaging our eyes and our vision. You're going to have people that will have glasses much earlier than they should. So here's the tip to do, all adults and with your children, is every day, like, morning and night, you have them look up very, very high in the eyeball, count to 4, and then down, count to 4, and then one side and the other side, and then rolling the eyes. And if you do it, when I started to do this, it hurt my muscles of my eyes because we're not used to do this. And this is for eye health and for vision, because the less we do this, the more we're going to have issues with eye health and with vision. So a small change that has a big impact is to make sure that you do eye exercise every day now. My daughter said that the kids have now integrated into their glasses the blue light cutting. So at least it's going to do that. And it was not nearsighted, it's farsighted that has affected the staring. Like, it was very interesting that she shared that. So any questions? I hope it's interesting answering your question. It's a scary situation.
It is actually very interesting because there are yoga exercises that date back thousands of years. And one of them, to strengthen your eye muscles, of course, back then, wearing eyeglasses was not really an option. And it's to look at your finger, the point of your finger, and then get the point of your finger to your nose, and then up, and then down to your chin. Even you don't see your finger. And to do that 10 times every day as you're doing, and you can do that as you're doing your pranayama. And so
Yes.
in about 7-8 minutes, and it actually does work, because I've worn glasses basically my whole life, but my prescription has not increased in the last, 25 years. And it's an exercise that you do every day, and it really, really helps.
You actually can just Google eye yoga, and it's amazing because it's there. And I have a teacher that I took yin from who swears that he corrected his vision because of it.
Yes.
So he started just doing the eye yoga, and actually it was corrected. So there's lots of things that you can do, and definitely these phones are bad for the eyes, and young eyes. They're really worse for them.
Well, because they were born with the screen. We were not born, my generation, with the screen later on. But thanks for mentioning that exercise, Claudia, because it was one of the ones on the list. And if you're driving right now and you're listening to radio, please don't do this in the
Don't do
car.
it.
But what?
Oh, don't do it.
But when you get home, it's worth to go on Facebook Live and have a look at that, or you can Google it. But there's also, if you Google side to side, I forgot the name of that technique. It's a technique to help make some changes. There's a name for it that I forget, but
EMDR.
Yes.
Yeah.
It involves doing this when you're repeating it. Actually, it's apparently very powerful and it works. So I thought that I mentioned that, but parents out there and grandparents, don't think that you are regulating your phone, your children's phone, and everything that they are getting is fine. It's not. And until we have regulated social medias, please make sure that you know, and sit down with your kids. You know, I'm sure no kids have ever been asked, let's have a conversation. What are you interested on? Not in that pointing way. It's like, what is it that you like to watch? What is interesting?
Isabelle, my favorite thing about this topic now is when you're getting into parents with their kids, and this is where it's do as I say, not as I do. Because how many parents are like on their kids for being on their phone all the time? Why are you on your phone all the time? As their face is in their phone.
Well, they're like this. It's like, please don't do this. Yeah, I know. I know. We're not ganging up on the parents here, but this is for your own health and for the health and well-being of your children is very, very important. Another thing that I always speak with the issue of living alone, because I can speak to this because I live alone. Well, not quite. I have a cat that was a saving grace for me. I adopted this baby thing before lockdown, and honest to God, I feed her very expensive food because she's my sensei, my master's, my teacher. She knocked off a cell phone off my hand once because it was her petting time, and she was beside. No, true story. And I go, oh, you're right. Boom, on the floor. But anyways, beside my cat, I realized that one of the reasons that I was so much on social medias is because it's my person in my house at night, and especially when we went through the lockdown, it was my connection with the outside. There's no other person that I could speak to when I get home. And this has been a big, big issue for mental health is an increase. And there's a lot of people living alone. And we need to reconnect. We have to make sure that the same as the COVID-15, which is the 15 pounds, apparently a lot of people have gained during COVID, that it's time for us to lose these pounds after 18 months. It's the same goes with starting to disconnect, to reconnect with our life. And it doesn't mean to be off social medias. It means to sit down and decide, what is my intention with this? What am I wanting to get out of this? And put out, that will serve. Because the one thing that is not healthy is that there's more judging and pushing people down as opposed to think of helping people, all of us rise up, about healing, about getting back together. There's just so much of a need for that. And the people that live alone, it's a very big issue. So I realized for me, it really was my socializing, and so I realized.
Isabelle,
yeah, go ahead. I can.
No, I was just going to ask. I was going to ask. Don't you think there's a little bit of by design in that? I mean, you were talking about Facebook targeting people that have eating disorders with things about eating disorders, and don't you think that part of this is to divide and conquer? I mean, this has been done, maybe not with this technology, but it's been done in countries all over the world. It's being done right now. A lot of people would say that a lot of this stuff going on is just dividing people to be more and more upset and not to care about others, to really help drive people apart. And that's the insidious nature of this phone, of this social media, of the ads that you are given to see. And we talked about this book before, the one that came out of Britain, and the name has slipped my mind, but it's the nudge unit that Great Britain has, that was putting things on social media to put fear into people so they would comply to these mandates and all these things. Don't you think that's also something we should be concerned about?
It's interesting that you're asking this, because I have a quote. It's kind of actually capsulizing something that Rich Roll is. He's got a podcast, and I really love the guy because he makes a lot of sense. That he talked about where we are right now, and it's fair to say that we're living in a pretty confusing time. And I have the quote here, but I'm just going to give you the right line because I don't want to read it, because when I read something I'm not good at. And so we basically have institutional distrust going on. There's erosion of respect to healthy communication. That's a big issue. We have no more appreciation for nuance and respect for each other. It divides, and perhaps most of all, it's fear-based behavior. And what happened is we have such a lack of discernment. Discernment has become one of my best favorite word, because it's almost like we're like a deer in the headlights. And what has made me sad, one of the things that has really upset me, and I found peace again and reconnected with my life, is that this shaming and judging and lack of respect from people that are close to me. And that doesn't seem even normal coming from people close to me. I found was very hurtful. And because I don't use my platforms to do dramas and back and forth, I'm not interested in that back and forth thing. It doesn't serve, but it really hurts. I mean, I was the recipient of a lot of bullying when I was younger. And it never leaves you. There's some pain that runs very deep, but you get triggers. Like a lot. And I'm sure this is what I'm saying is touching a lot of people out there that are going to go, that won't say anything. It's very damaging. It's dividing communities. It's dividing families and friendships, and that's very sad. We can't let this narrative out there gets in the way and separate our relationship with each other. Like, that's the most of everything that I have felt in the past 30 days. If there's something that I am not going to stand for, and that's why I'm going to be I'm very discerning, because I only have 1 hour. I'm continuing that. What I'm going to read and go to, I am not going to go to the page where there's all kinds of still the same narrative, I call the same S, different colors, that are still caught into the argument of which lane to pick. The truth is nobody has 100% of the truth. So you have to get down your pedestal. I'm going to say this once and for all. Stop resharing and thinking that you hold the truth, because here's the deal. Here's the news. Nobody knows the truth 100% for sure. That's why we need to be curious.
And you're not changing one human being by sharing something on social media. People have already decided. No. Social media posts about politics doesn't change anybody's mind.
No, it doesn't. And you know what? It's really about self-respect. It's about respect to others. You can think whatever you want. It's fine. I've said this, and I was actually really sad. I only posted one thing that I was against, because for me, I believe in freedom of choice, period. People know that. I'm not anti anything. And that's the thing that is actually distorting our society. When you believe in freedom of choice, your label about anti, it's got nothing to do with that. But there's so much noise that is dividing us. If you stop to think about what you're saying, and if you stop to talk, and dare to start to listen, because there's wisdom in starting to listen more than you talk and argue, and get curious about how the other person feels. It's really about the wanting to be seen and respected and validated, and that's it. So
Isabelle, I just want to remind people, if they just joined us, you're listening to Isabelle Gagnon, our health guru on Cabomil News and Community Update. Listen to 96.3 FM. Cabomil, you're watching us on Facebook Live. We're talking about getting off social media as we are broadcasting on Facebook Live. A little irony there. Claudia, anything from you? We're continuing. I want to get you in the conversation because you've always got the best questions.
She does.
No, it's everything is so on point, because you've addressed the shaming and the bullying and the triggers. And that is something that anybody who spends more than 5 minutes on social media goes through. And then it becomes an outlet for anger. So I think this tip on becoming discerning and deciding what it is you want to do with your social media is very, very important. So because some people just want to show their improvement in their workouts or their home improvements or their whatever it is, their family, their travel. And if we go there just to go with an attitude of acceptance, how do we go about that? It's not about
Mm,
judging every single thing we see on social media,
mm.
because sometimes it seems to be like, oh, I'm going to go into social media to criticize everything. And so how do we go? It's not so much about what do we see, but the attitude we have when we're looking at it.
I so love what you just shared, and it's so true. And also, check what you're sharing. Are you sharing things that are inspiring, that are serving, or are you sharing fear-based, information? Like, there's no need to share more of what we've seen 1,000 times. So it's really, again, like you said, like we said, about what are your intentions, because you're not in control of the world, first of all. So it's about what type of, is it going to be serving, helping us move in the right direction? And your comment, Claudia, makes me think of something. Like a few years ago, I received a message in my messenger from someone from India that I've never heard of. And that's when, you always think that's what I used to think, that whoever puts like, or the people that follow you and everybody else is not looking at your page. But actually the likes are only 25% of the people looking at the post, by the way. That's the statistics. And by the way, this dependency on number of likes, Jesus only had 12. That's a great line. I heard not long ago. Jesus only had 12, so don't worry about over 12. But this young man that I'd never heard of said to me, I want you to know how grateful I am for your post. And I want you to know that you're the first page I go to every morning when I wake up, because it inspires me. And that moment, I realized the importance of what I post on my social medias, on my platform, because it made me realize that what if it's someone that was close to taking their lives? What if it's someone that was very depressed and wanted to check out? And that one piece of, advice or uplifting has made people change their mind. It made me realize that it is so important to be so very careful about the narrative, the words we use, the intention we have with what we share, because we're all in this together.
Isabelle, what you're talking about, people should be doing that in real life too, and not just
that's of course,
and acting out of love and not out of fear. I mean, these things have been talked about for ages before this technology. This technology accentuates the fear. And one of the lines from The Social Dilemma, which I love, which caused me to get off all of this stuff. I'm back on Instagram because of the foundation work that I do. But I am very selective. I only put positive stuff about the foundation, nothing more. But the interesting thing is, what The Social Dilemma said is when there's something for free, you're the product. And that's what, if everyone can understand this, when something is given for free, you're the product. And that's exactly what you are when you're on social media. They are looking at every like, they are using algorithms, they are throwing you stuff that they know that you're going to buy because they know you better than you do. And that is what you have to understand. And this came out in 2020. The algorithms are getting better every moment. And so people need to understand that when something is for free, you're the product. Now there's something else for free right now. I'm not going to mention what it is, but I just want everybody to think about that. There's something else that's been giving out for free. And I think that everyone should think about that, because when something's given for free, you're the product. And anyway, we'll continue on.
Yes, my comment about be careful about what you post on social media is because when you're one-on-one or in a group, you have a contained number of people that are your people, like your audience. when you're on a platform like that, what people don't realize is like it's open to the world. Even if you say it's only like your friends, it's not just your friends. It's like going all over the world. And there's something to be said about the more you feed the fear and negative and the darkness, the more you're going to get of it. So my whole point really is to be, again, using discernment. And I can't say enough the issue of your intention. What do you want to get out of it? And what do you want to put out in the world? Because we all have our role to play in serving this world. It's not just the role of teachers and hospital and so on, to make some changes. We all have our own personal part to do in this world. So it's a very important role, and we have to take this seriously. There's something else that I wanted to mention that I read somewhere that is very interesting is one of the predictions for longevity. Actually, I'm going to use this as a question and you'll see if you're going to answer. One of the predictors of longevity for people over 50. That's kind of new coming out.
What is the project?
So what is one of the predictors of longevities for people over 50?
I don't know. I'm going to guess being in a relationship, because I've heard that having a significant other helps that.
Emotional health.
Well, Claudia is known for the best questions, and you're known for a hell of good answers all the time. I'm going to give you that, Korey. You can tell you read. So it's really the quality of your relationships. And it comes back to what you were saying about reconnecting with real people, which I started to do because I realized that I was really locking myself in with this whole time, and social media. And I disconnected from the outside world because I didn't feel really good. By the way, I'm feeling really good right now. So it's really, and actually it's one of the doctors I listened to a webinar, a brilliant practitioner on health, and it's really the top right now is self-care. Like, you can eat as much broccoli as you want. Broccoli won't do it for you alone, right? Mm-hmm. So it's one of my favorite quotes. Broccoli alone won't do it. Self-care.
Wait. I thought your quote was, it's not just about the broccoli.
Oh, wow. You also have great memory. It's not just about broccoli. Yes. But I added
that.
this. Yes, it's not just about broccoli. So really, we have to get back to the quality of the relationship that we have. This is what's going to help us to live longer, which actually makes us re-questioning our behavior towards each other. All of this is all interrelated. So it's very important to get back into this, because now we're called to create our new reality. There's no going back.
Isabelle, talking about being called to create our new reality, we are coming up against the end of our show. And so we're going to allow people to keep creating their own reality after this. Of course, we'll have you back to talk more. But this has been a wonderful show. Claudia, any final thoughts? We have about a minute left.
Tune in next week. Go to Facebook Live, go to Facebook. And yes, with discernment and a good intention to hear more from about all of it.
And if you're on Facebook Live, you'll see me eating something. And I was eating pepino, which is cucumber in English. Well, pepino is Spanish for cucumber. And I was eating it because Isabelle was on the show and I wanted her to see how healthy I'm being. So that's why I was
very impressed. You're healthy from all aspects. Remember, longevity is your connection with others as well. Amen to that.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Isabelle. Join us next week for another incredible edition of Cabomil News and Community Update with Korey Riggs and Claudia Velo. And I promise Claudia will speak more next week. She's
I'm good.
we took over, Isabelle, but Claudia, thank you.
She was nodding a lot.
Yeah, it's all good.
Everybody stay tuned. Have a great week and we'll see you next time.